So we did get an update to the NFL betting policy. They did change things, some for the better, some for the worse. I look at the severity of the punishments. I just tweeted this out a few minutes ago. There's a bit more to it, and I'll get to it in a second with the added on part of it, but this is mainly the biggest part of it. So number one, players who place a bet on an NFL game will receive a minimum 1-year ban. Players who bet on their own team will receive a 2-year ban, and players who game fix an NFL game will receive a lifetime ban. Now, also on top of that too, again, I didn't tweet it. On top of this, was players who make a non-NFL bet in the workplace has been reduced from 6 games to now it'll only be 2 games. So now Jameson Williams and the Tennessee offensive lineman Nicholas will be reinstated into the NFL because of that. But the reason why I didn't tweet that as much is because I think this is the more important part. Not saying that doesn't mean anything, but I think this is the more important part. I think going forward, because I think they've done a little bit better job of laying the groundworks of the road to knowing how to deal with this. And I in a way I do have a problem with this, and I'll get into a second why I have the problem with the severity of the bans. But I'm going to quickly just break down each of them and just give my quick thoughts, and again, I'll give a reason why I have a problem with, for the most part, a good portion of it. So I understand that the players who game fix games, it's a lifetime ban. And it's very apparently, especially if they are 2 and 3 go hand in hand. If you're betting on your own team to lose, you're most likely going to game fix. So again, they go hand in hand. You're purposely ruining the team, purposely losing. I get that, but at the same time too, I think number 2 is a gray area when you talk about betting on your own team, because if you can prove that they were betting for their team to win, I don't see that as a problem, because of course they're just trying to make money in the process. I know something similar is golf, where for players in golf, they can bet on themselves to win, and there's no problem with that. So I guess I have a problem with that, like half of it. If it's they're betting for their team to win, I don't see an issue with that. But obviously, just like for anyone else, if they are betting their team to lose, again, that also implies the game fixing, then I can see that. Players who place a bet on an NFL game, 1-year ban, I don't agree with it. And this I'm going to get to my quick point now of why I have a problem with this overall with the length of the ban. The only one I don't have a problem with is the non-NFL games. I mean, I don't think they should get suspended at all, but it's in the workplace, so at the very worst, if it's 2 games, I think I'll take that. The reason why I have a problem with this that I tweeted out is the NFL has no problem giving harsh punishments for players that are messing with their money, but when it comes to players who assault people, especially women that we hear a decent amount from players, it's a very small suspension. A big one that we can easily point to is Deshaun Watson with his obviously off the field stuff with the masseuses, the countless ones he had that went on for well over a year, almost 2 years. And at the end of the day, it was back and forth. It was going to be a year ban or so forth, and eventually it came down to a 11-game suspension. So you had someone who affected people's lives, again, depending on which side you take on Deshaun Watson case, that affected people's lives, only 11 games. For someone who places a bet, like Kevin Ridley, who placed a bet on his own team to win, didn't hurt anybody in the process, gets a 1-year suspension. That's my problem with it. That's the hypocrisy of the NFL, is they have no problem giving out light punishments for players who harm other people or do things that affect others. But when it comes to betting, especially for players who are doing it for themselves and betting their teams to win, then it's an issue. So I think that, again, that's my big trope on it. My biggest knock on it is just the hypocrisy of the length of the suspensions given what they do. The only one I understand really is the third point for players who fix games receive a lifetime ban. That could be in a way harsh. If you want to give a few years for a ban, then I'd be okay with that. I think a lifetime maybe is a tad bit harsh, but I understand why, because of just affecting the outcome of a game, obviously, especially depending on what moment it is. If talking about the regular season, late in the regular season when we're talking about playoff implications, or we're talking about in the playoffs too, especially if it happens then, I understand that aspect of it. But I feel like for the most part, just for the betting, I think it's a little too high for the 1-year, 2-year ban. I get, you can tell them, you call the players dumb for doing that. They're making millions of dollars. Why should they do that? Why would they put themselves in jeopardy? I get that, but I just look at the point of players can do so much worse than betting and harm others, and they get a very little suspension. Meanwhile, if you put money on your own team, you get a 1-year ban.